before you went through the metal detector, you pulled out and they said you had a pocket full of condoms. Being a registered, I wouldn't normally get into private people business and all that business, but you dating somebody and so much in love with them that you'd stalk them, yet you got a pocket full of condoms. And I understand they can be for, to keep from getting pregnant. I understand a lot of things, but that's kind of unusual. I know the big joke about somebody in high school got one in their wallet or something, but a pocket full, a grown man, a grown sex offender, that don't make sense to me. What's the deal?
The good old Sheriff Prater, the sheriff of Louisiana, out from retirement to the parole board, and he's got a witty sense of humor. Just the way that he talks about that, it's like, well, this is a scary case. It's a sex offender. He just paroled out less than a year ago, and here he is stalking a woman with a pocket full of condoms. And that's a fair question. Why a pocket full? And then what Mr. Prater says, I'm just trying to get to know you, but we'll see that part in a minute. This is a parole revocation hearing, as you know, so he's up for getting revoked. I don't know how much time he's back in, but it is scary when you hear about these kind of things. So with that, let's...
Right, good morning. This is the Committee on Parole. We're impaneled in headquarters in Baton Rouge. Serving today on my left is Ms. Stapleton. Virtually is Mr. Prater. I'm Ms. Ledoux. I noticed there's someone there at the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. Sir, would you please introduce yourself, the officer?
Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant Murphy.
Okay, Lieutenant Murphy, thank you for joining us. This time, would the offender please state your name and your DSC number?
My name is Marcus Allen. My DOC number is 442734.
Mr. Allen, you're before this panel due to allegations of violation of your conditions of parole. Before we get started, do you have a piece of paper in front of you that has your signature that
Yes,
indicates, okay, and it recognizes your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that indicates that you are not eligible for appointed counsel, and I don't see any retained counsel. I'm going to read the allegations against you, at which time I would like for you to enter a plea of guilty, not guilty, or guilty with the statement. Rule violation number 4, you were involved in criminal activity in the commission of the offense of simple assault, other force in West Baton Rouge Parish under incident report 2463 by the Port Allen Department on 10/27/2024. How do you plead?
Guilty with a statement, ma'am.
Okay, we'll get to that statement. Mr. Prater can ask you about that. Also, you failed to make monthly supervision fees, and no payment has been made since June of 24. You're in arrears $252. How do you plead?
Guilty with a statement, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, if you will, answer questions by Mr. Prater.
Okay, Mr. Allen. I'm trying to figure out here. Tell me about the stalking and threatening a victim. You showed up. You made some cell phone threats to this lady. Is that true?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. What did you threaten to do to her?
Well, sir, I told her that I was going to slap her and that I was going to mess up her restaurant.
Okay. And did you show up at the restaurant?
I did, sir. I showed up at the restaurant afterwards, like 20 minutes after I had made those threats. I had thought about it. And this is a lady that I'm in a relationship with. And I had thought about it, Mr. Prater, and I was like, I need to make this right. And I know that I went about that the wrong way.
Okay. And so then she left the restaurant and you followed her. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. When I seen her and she got into her vehicle and she was motioning with her hands and I didn't know what she was saying. So I called her and she had done left already and had told me that she was going to police station. And she said that she thinks I need to go there and sit down and talk with them. And I put Port Allen PD in my GPS, and I went there. I thought she was pulling my leg at first, but when I went over there, I seen her vehicle was over there, and I went over there. I know I'm on parole, and I didn't want any of this to get back to my parole officer, so I did go. And I spoke with the officers, and they asked me what happened, and I owned up. I told them what was going on. I told them what I'd done, and you know, all those things were said out of anger. You know,
Had you been stalking her for 2 months?
no, sir, I haven't been stalking her. That the whole thing with that was she wanted to just give the relationship a break for 2 months, and that's whenever I just went in my feelings, Mr. Prater, and you know, I thought she was cheating on me. I didn't know what was going on, and
Okay. Did the officers at Port Allen try to get you to sign a paper saying you wouldn't go back to the restaurant?
they did. She told me, the lady did. The officer did tell me that. She said I don't have to. You know, I don't have to sign if I don't want to. But she said, look, just for right now, just don't go around the restaurant and just don't call her. You know, and
Why
this took place on October the 27th. I got emotional.
Why didn't you sign the paper?
I don't know, sir. I got emotional. I started crying and I left from out the police station. They came out, asked me if I was okay. I shook both their hands and I left. And
Okay. Are you a registered sex offender?
yes, sir, I am.
Okay. When did you start dating that lady?
Back in February.
And were y'all dating in May?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me just ask you this, because it's, I think, being a registered sex offender and the fact it's noted in the probation parole, and because it concerns me, is when you went to the probation parole office in May of 2024, before you went through the metal detector, you pulled out and they said you had a pocket full of condoms. Being a registered, I wouldn't normally get into private people business and all that business, but you dating somebody and so much in love with them that you'd stalk them, yet you got a pocket full of condoms. And I understand they can be for, you know, to keep from getting pregnant. I understand a lot of things, but that's kind of unusual. I know you know, the big joke about somebody in high school got one in their wallet or something, but a pocket full, a grown man, a grown sex offender, that don't make sense to me. What's the deal?
I just had them, sir. Every time I go to probation and parole, I mean, I was using protection, you know, and I didn't think that would be a problem.
It's
I mean,
I'm not saying it's a problem. I just
No.
kind of trying to get to know you a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And notice you're number 10. How much money are you owe? Don't you owe some money to probation and parole?
Yes, sir, I do.
How much?
Right now, sir, I'm at $252 in the hole.
Okay.
That
Not
was
a whole
going to get.
lot.
It's not a whole lot. That was going to get taken care of, sir. Mr. Prater, I'm not gonna lie to you, sir. I have been mismanaging my money. Oh, it's nobody's fault but my fault.
Okay. And you got 15 years and 15 years, total of 30 years. If you put them together, you were paroled in January 24, and here you're already in trouble
Yes,
for some pretty serious charges.
Why was it? I don't have no charges against me, Mr. Prater, but I'm in violation, sir.
Yes, sir. Pretty charges that you violated some rules. You're right. You saying
Yes,
it
sir. I
the
mean, I
right way.
violated.
You saying it right, and I'm saying it right.
I
Okay.
have.
I don't have any more questions.
Mr. Stapleton?
Yes, I've listened to Mr. Prater and the questions that he had for you. Very concerning for me since you did have an aggravated sexual assault charge.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I can understand why this lady would be, well, you gave her threats. You gave her threats, you showed up. And the stalking charge, I think, was valid. So all of that does concern me very much. So I see too that you pled guilty to these things at the preliminary hearing. So I have no questions.
Mr. Allen, if you needed to get, anger management, you were at the Parole project. You didn't take anger management classes?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, parole project, they have been there for me. And
Did you anger management classes?
yes, ma'am. And
So non-compliant with that I mean, that didn't necessarily help you with the anger.
no, I mean, it's not that, ma'am. I messed up, Miss Ledoux, and
Okay, well, and unfortunately today you have to answer for that, okay?
well, Miss Ledoux, yes, ma'am.
I think we have enough information, Mr. Allen. Mr. Prater, if you would begin with the vote.
So my vote is to revoke violations of Rule 4 and 2 and 10.
And Ms. Stapleton
I concur.
and Mr. Allen, based on your guilty pleas, my vote is also to revoke your parole. I hope that it goes better next time. Okay,
yes, ma'am.
thank you. That concludes our business at 11:07 with East Parish Prison.
Well, and they made quick work of him. And again, I don't have anything in his jacket of the crime and how much time he's in for. And I messaged Sir Richard and I said, are we sure that we don't have his parole hearing somewhere in your spreadsheet? Because it says he was paroled last year and that he was paroled to the parole project. So I'm not sure that, I don't know if the parole project takes someone who comes out just by doing their full term or good time. So, the problem is that it is a common name. So that could be a part of it. But Sir Richard will check the spreadsheet one more time, and you might not even see this message if he does come back with that parole hearing. I'll probably be playing this in a different hearing and I'll edit it out. But if you are seeing this, it means that we don't have it. I'm not sure how he ended up in the parole project without having parole. Maybe they take, I don't know. Actually, I have no idea. But there you have it. They made quick work of him. Pocket full of condoms. The sheriff, he's funny. And so we saw parole hearings, 3 parole revocation hearings, 3 revocations, 1 with an attorney, 2 without. We're going to be seeing a lot of revocations coming up in the dockets and a lot fewer parole hearings. And that's because the legislation has changed. A new governor with a new sheriff is in town, and parole rules have gotten much tougher. You got to serve at least, I think, 80 or 85% of your sentence before you can have parole now. And that's why we're seeing so few parole hearings. So that's why we're supplementing the channel with other hearings like out of the state of Utah. Make sure to check out the playlist if you want to have the differentiations. And with that, I'll let you go.
Let me just ask you this, because I think being a registered sex offender and the fact it's noted in the probation parole, and because it concerns me, is when you went to the probation parole office in May of 2024, before you went through the metal detector, you pulled out and they said you had a pocket full of condoms. Being a registered, I wouldn't normally get into private people business and all that business, but you dating somebody and so much in love with them that you'd stalk them, yet you got a pocket full of condoms. And I understand they can be for, to keep from getting pregnant. I understand a lot of things, but that's kind of unusual. I know the big joke about somebody in high school got one in their wallet or something, but a pocket full, a grown man, a grown sex offender, that don't make sense to me. What's the deal?
I just had them, sir. Every time I go to probation and parole, I mean, I was using protection, and I didn't think that that would be a problem.
It's,
I mean,
I'm not saying it's a problem. I just
No.
kind of trying to get to know you a little bit.